Good day, Broker Nation. Lauren Hawkins here from 3 Point Capital. I have the pleasure today of sitting down with the wonderful team at Lawrenson Walker. We're going to talk a little bit about real estate and the appraisal market and COVID and a few other things. So good morning to you guys. How's everything in your neck of the woods?
Good morning. Well, I'm in Vancouver. Derek's in Kelowna and Chantelle is in Calgary. We were just talking before you started hit record. Things are going great in Vancouver. We're very, very busy. It's not snowing here, but I understand there's a little bit of snow in the other areas
Yeah,
at the same time.
We'll see everyone, snow coming down in Kelowna here today. Woke up to that this morning. Hopefully it won't stick stick around too long. I know a few people are waiting for the mountains to open, so that'll be a good early start this year, considering everything that's going on. And so I just want to take a few moments to kind of talk about some key things that are happening in the world and in our industry right now. One happens to be the global pandemic, COVID-19. Just wanted to talk a little bit how that's affected you guys internally and externally in your business, how things are playing out for you guys.
Well, we had to make some immediate adjustments to our business, but one of the big things that happened externally is the market just shut down overnight. So it just froze. And so we were wondering, how long is that going to last? How is this going to affect values? Is the market going to collapse? These are the sorts of things we were trying to figure out while the market was frozen. Internally, some of the things we had to deal with were, well, we're not really supposed to be going into people's homes, depending on which province you're in. When you moved into phase one or phase two, you could no longer go into homes. So how do we, as appraisers, do our job without going inside? And would lenders accept those appraisals if we didn't go inside? And so through a lot of work with working with lenders, working with the Appraisal Institute, we developed it's now been called virtual inspections. So that's where the appraiser, in cases where the appraiser can actually see the exterior of the property, and while they're on site doing the exterior inspection, they will do a virtual inspection with the occupant inside. That would either be through some sort of a video call, or we developed an app actually where a broker would send to their client, and then while the appraiser's at the exterior of the property, the client could use our app to take pictures of rooms. It would geo-stamp and date stamp and timestamp those pictures. So you as a lender know that picture was taken inside that house at this time. And the technology was pretty cool because you could see each photograph would have a pin where it was taken in the house. It would drop down with geo coordinates. So that was really good.
So how was that accepted by lenders and, more importantly, I guess, the consumer, like the homeowner?
Well, homeowners were happy that they could still get appraisals. I think brokers were happy they could still get appraisals. I think lenders were happy that appraisers, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but we're happy that there was a solution out there. I know that there was a lot of other concerns for lenders at that time, and they weren't really thinking about appraisals. They were thinking about a lot of other things. And so it's been very well received, and so things started to move smoothly from that point, and pretty much every appraiser in the country was then following those same processes. We had some appraisers that stopped working. We had a couple of appraisers who, they had family members whose health may be compromised living in the same home with them, so they just stopped working altogether. Never had that happen before. And we closed our office. We actually closed our office. We used to have an office in South Surrey with 6 people that worked from there in our admin team, and we took them all virtual. And so we let our lease run out, and the company is now forced to be virtual, and everything is going really, really well.
Oh, good. Same thing for 3 Point, our team here. When things started changing, environments started changing, and the numbers started fluctuating, we had to reevaluate our model as well, and gave the flexibility to our staff to work from home or come into the office. Our setup here is a little unique. We each have our individual offices, so we can be COVID compliant. And so, but it was up to the individual. So like today I'm in the office, we've got a couple people on the other side of the hall, and then the rest of us work from home. So yeah, it's going to definitely be a culture shift, I think, going forward, is how we all operate businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously the change in the app and some flexibility in how you're doing your reporting and that. Do you predict any further changes to the industry, and as we kind of continue on with the pandemic, what's the next phase look for you guys? 2021, guys could start thinking about that. What's that kind of look like for you and your team?
I think we're, and I'm going to let Derek and Chantelle chime in here as well too, but I think that, we have started to go when back to work and the phase 2 was starting to happen. We started to be able to go back into homes. So there was our business, we would be maybe 50-50 virtual inspections versus going in. Now it's been a few months now that we started to go back in. So now that's maybe 80-20. I think that as I take a look at the COVID numbers as they come out every day, I'm thinking that perhaps the only thing that may happen going forward would be a heavy reliance on virtual versus going inside. I think that's going to ebb and flow a bit. Yeah. And I think that's on the consumer side too, as they start to see the numbers go up, they're going to insist that we not come in the property.
Yeah.
Even if we're ready, willing, and able, the consumer, the homeowner really will be driving that.
And I guess that really helps, you guys. I mean, it gives the consumer that choice. How comfortable are you with somebody coming in that you don't know into your home, even though it might be, 15 to half an hour, 40, I guess, depending on the scope of the report required. But it gives that consumer that flexibility and comfort in their own home, be able to have that option.
Yeah.
I would just add that.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I would just add that we're also, making the client at ease. We're wearing a mask and asking them to just stay distanced from us as we do our inspection. So this is new for us, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. 2021, I expect our appraisers to still be masked up for majority of the year.
Yeah, going forward.
Yeah.
Chantelle has a name tag around her neck. We had some name tags made up so that we don't hand out business cards anymore.
Oh, nice.
We'll actually, show them at the door. I can't. It's crazy to me that in this day and age, a person can walk up to someone's house, just say that they're the appraiser, and get let into every room in the house.
Yeah.
So we had an idea to come up with these name tags with our pictures, and that would sort of alleviate some of that, maybe some of that concern about who's coming in my home. But then COVID hit, and now we no longer have to hand out a paper business card. We can just show them the ID badge.
Yeah. And when you guys do your inspections, are you wearing company clothing, company swag?
We're wearing a company mask.
A company mask? Oh, okay. That's
company mask.
That's the new corporate wear, right?
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, Derek, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say about the virtual modified inspections. I mean, I think it's dependent on every location. Obviously in the Okanagan, the population is quite a bit smaller than Vancouver and the Fraser Valley. So I think we're still able to enter the majority of the homes here as long as the homeowner is comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And, in the summertime here, we had that, that one spike of COVID cases where all of a sudden it changed overnight, whether we're going to be entering the homes or not, right? So I think with the summertime over now and the less vacation people coming up here, we should be able to continue to enter homes as long as it's safe and the homeowner is comfortable with it.
Yeah,
we prefer to go in, Loren. I mean, that's the way we normally do our appraisals, is to walk through someone's house. And the question that gets asked to me all the time is, well, it must be easier now that you don't have to go in someone's home. You can just take the pictures from the homeowner. Your job must be that much easier. And the answer to that is no. To just do it the way we did it before is much smoother process than to try to, it's easier to gather the information on your own than have to verify information that was gathered by the occupant. So
yeah, I would assume, and sometimes your eye was going to catch something that a picture or even maybe a video might not pick up, right?
Yeah.
The corner of your eye, you can make a note of that and carry on. So yeah, reporting would be, I would say, a little bit different than a visual inspection.
Yeah.
Let's sort of flip to, market wise in each of your neck of the woods there. What are you guys seeing as far as pricing, housing trends based on the early effects of COVID?
I can
Chantelle, do you want to do Alberta
start
first?
Alberta, yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Sure.
So, well, with COVID, as Leigh had mentioned, everything definitely shut down for a couple months, and just kind of pushed that what's typically a spring busy market into the summer. And then all of a sudden, when everything started to open up again, we noticed, significant inventory going onto the market, but also really eager buyers. So it looked like, or it seemed like they were cooped up inside these houses that now they're reanalyzing every aspect of their house and potentially now needing maybe a home office or 2 home offices.
Yeah.
So there was definitely a big increase in the summer, and I'll be Calgary specific on my stat, but I think it could be across the board in Alberta. A 12% increase in sales over the last third quarter of the year in comparison to the same quarter 2019. So that's a significant increase and good news for Calgary and Alberta as a whole. But I mean, with that said, we are aware that unemployment is still high here in Alberta. That is going to be an ongoing concern. And then also Alberta was the highest province for mortgage deferrals. So now that the government program is running out or stopping, I think we're going to see an influx of listings for those situations where they didn't get their job back and they deferred their mortgage, and now they're having to kind of face the reality of their future. So I think we've had some good news. People have been successful with buying or selling in the summer, but it's going to be an interesting 2021. I'm not sure if we'll have such good news to report.
Yeah. Your province has definitely gone through its ups and downs over the last few years, and this just adds to the issues that consumers are facing in the province.
Yeah, we've also had more people leave Alberta since summer than come in, which is the first time since like the 90s, I think.
Oh, wow.
So if that continues, I mean, that also will affect the housing market as well.
Okay.
Derek?
And that kind of rolls into the Okanagan and our market now. I've been noticing a lot of Alberta buyers coming this way now, actually. I don't think in the beginning of COVID, before it hit, once it hit, anyone predicted that the sales would have record-breaking numbers like it did, and it has. Right, obviously, when Leigh mentioned earlier, April when it first came, I mean, it just tanked the market, not with prices, but everyone was stuck at home, no one could buy. And then, that busy spring market just was delayed until summer and late summer when we've noticed a 78% increase in sales from last year. I think the one thing that's driving that are just super low interest rates. You can get more rates at like 1.65 right now. Yeah. And even credit unions are offering.
They've got their big billboard out, 1.64, 1.65.
Yeah.
High ratio. I mean, that's almost giving money away. So it's definitely going to spark or offset, some of the effects of the pandemic.
Yeah. And over the last year, I mean, single family has been up about 6% on average. Condos are still up about 2%, not as strong, but it's the hottest market right now is just every single family under $1 million. You don't need the 20 down. And if you've got a suite in it, those homes are selling probably multiple offers on them at full asking or even above asking.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And we have noticed that a lot of pre-sale condos that have sold in Kelowna back in 2017, 2018, we're having a difficult time reaching those sale prices now, actually. Feel like it's flooded a little bit with the condo market.
Yeah.
So the best investment that we've seen right now, and the most buyers are that single family under $1 million, between that 6 and 950 range, will sell instantly if it's, as long as it's priced right.
Yeah, and to that note on pre-sale, we just saw an application yesterday where it was just over 150 short of what the sale price was. And
Yeah.
so now clients in a situation of needing to do an inter alia, pull some equity out of another property in order to cover that shortfall. So
Yeah.
I could definitely see that trend continuing in that pre-sale area.
Yeah. And the higher end of market, 1.2 and higher, I mean, you're starting to see some price reductions. That market's a little slower. Homes are lasting longer on the market. But and between that $1 million and 1.2 is still, people are still buying that stuff as well.
Yeah.
Metro Vancouver, I mean, we went, it's always a bit of a roller coaster in Metro Vancouver during COVID, even more so. We went from record low activity in sales and listings. So as soon as COVID hit, boom, the market just froze and no activity, to where we are now, where we're seeing record sales. I think last month sales were 45% greater than they were, greater than the 10-year average, and 56% better than last year in terms of volume. And that's way pre-COVID. I mean, these are numbers that I would never have expected.
Yeah.
With the benchmark price of a property in Metro Vancouver is up by almost 6%. If you would have asked me in March where we'd be today, I would not be saying record numbers today.
Yeah.
But I think pent up demand, I think people are going to take advantage of that cheap money that Derek was mentioning. And I get a sense that people are really trying to hunker down and figure out where they're going to be for the next 5 years. And, if now is the time to make a move perhaps, or now is the time to borrow money to renovate, or now is the time to just sort of get your mortgage financing in place for whatever it is that you want to do.
Yeah.
It seems to be a bit of a scramble.
Yeah. Obviously, COVID was been a factor in, the market as well. Down in the Lower Mainland, have you seen much price variance in the condo market or the strata market affected by the insurance?
Yes, well, actually, so the strata insurance,
Yeah,
that's a good question. So that was the hot topic prior to COVID.
Yeah.
And we were really wondering how that was going to affect things. So this is where the strata corporation has a problem getting insurance. Either they're uninsurable, or they have deductibles which could be upwards of $500,000 in some cases. So they went from 25,000 to 500,000.
Yeah.
I'm on a task force with the Appraisal Institute to try to figure out how that's going to affect prices. And I can say that we don't have any evidence that it has affected prices yet.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine that it won't. It has to.
Yeah.
If you're looking at two buildings side by side, virtually identical, however, this building has a $500,000 deductible and this one doesn't, which would you rather buy?
Yeah, I've seen cases where, strata was, call it 180 a month, and the new and policies come through skyrocketed, and they're 550 a month for strata fees. So that really affects the ability for somebody, a first-time home buyer, a young family, young couple, to make that purchase. I mean, $200 strata payment, can be deemed reasonable, but going up to that 400, 500, 600, that just puts some of those places right out of the market for them.
The Strata Property Act in BC requires that stratas, or another name for condominium, have to be insured. And so either there's going to be an amendment to the act, which perhaps can lower that requirement to being fully insured to being partially insured, perhaps.
Yeah.
But as you know, you can't it's very difficult to put a mortgage on something that doesn't have insurance.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so some of these people are stuck not being able to sell their units and not being able to, unless someone has cash to buy their $1 million condo.
Yeah. I can't speak for all lenders, but I know our company, we've had to turn around and look at a blanket policy to protect our investment when we're lending money out. So it's not definitely a safe fall, but it gives us and our investors a little extra protection or cushion in maybe a shortfall in a property that we're lending on.
I think that'll be the big story in the next 12 months. Loren, is really how that's going to affect the market. I think people are starting to look at that again now. Now that COVID, everyone sort of has an idea of what's going on there. Now they're starting to ask the question again, what about that strata insurance issue?
Yeah. Looking at the whole business model, how you guys handle things, obviously one of your big segments of your business is a broker channel. What can brokers do to help your visits to properties go smoother? Is there something that they can advise their clients to do to prepare for your visits, pre-COVID, COVID times? Is there something that they can do to help you guys in your visits?
I'll take that one. So I would say first and foremost to the brokers is to order that appraisal as soon as they know that they're going to need the appraisal. We've really noticed an increase in these rush requests.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why that is, if it's, on the lender side of things backed up and it's just taking longer to process an order. But yeah, that would help us out a lot. And then when it comes to the actual occupants of the property, of course, just setting expectations. So, we will be there we do need to go inside if we can, or, take the measures to get the data from the interior. But let's assume we're going inside, that they know that that is the case and that they're allowing us to be there for approximately, let's say, half an hour on average. We do need to see every single room, and that we are taking measures to try and keep them safe. And if they feel that they want to wear a mask as well, encourage them to do that. And then another issue that we've seemed to run into lately is dealing with tenants. So even if it is tenanted, we still need to get into that property. So, they'll follow the protocol that they need to give the tenants notice, but we still need access to every room in those rental properties.
And I guess that would kind of go hand in hand with, having brokers order the appraisal as soon as they know that they're going to need a report, to give everybody enough time to give notice to tenants, the homeowner to prepare, open doors, tidy up, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's a good point. We do, the minimum amount of touch points, touching lights, touching doors is helpful for us as well. And just goes along with trying to keep everybody feeling safe and comfortable with the visit.
Yeah, that's a good point there. And then, sort of lastly, how is Lawrenson Walker looking towards 2020 and beyond?
I think this winter is really going to tell the story. So in the next 6 weeks, I think is going to set us up for how things are going to be in the next few months.
Yeah.
The spring market in BC was pushed into summer and fall. We're still experiencing what should be the spring market. If we go back into lockdown, I think that we're going to see this whole thing happen again, where you're going to have activity drop and then there'll be a run up again.
The cycle itself.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think as long as we see good rates, as long as the interest rates are going to be low, I think the buyers are going to be there. I think the market's going to be hot going into, so typically in the Lower Mainland anyway, the market slows down as we approach Christmas. And then in mid-January starts to pick up again into the hottest part of the market, which is the spring market.
Yeah.
I'm anticipating record numbers for the spring market. I'm going out on a limb a bit by saying that, but I truly think that all the activity that we're seeing today should really translate into a busy spring.
Yeah, and with the continued possibility of travel restrictions still, people are going to turn to, okay, what else can we do to make ourselves happy, because we're not traveling. So, hey, like Chantelle said earlier, maybe look to renovate a home office or add one or redo a kitchen or anything to do with their own home, or upsize or downsize, because they're not leaving. Gives them that flexibility. So we've seen definitely a really strong summer and into fall, thus far as well. And I agree. I don't think things are going to change much going into the new year and back into spring for us as well. So it's been a good year, and we we look forward to next year and truly appreciate the partnership that we have with Lawrenson Walker. Appreciate your guys' time. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and we'll have to do this again soon.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
thank you so much.
In person.
Great
Thanks,
chatting.
Lauren.
Hey, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Take care. Bye, guys.